Let me tell you something powerful. You don't lose control because of what happens to you. You lose control because of what happens in you. The storm outside doesn't sink the ship. It's the water that gets inside that does. See, most people live like emotional thermostats. The world changes their temperature. Someone cuts them off in traffic. Boom, they're angry. Somebody says something disrespectful. Now their peace is gone. But those who live with authority over their emotions, they're thermostats, not thermometers. They set the temperature. They decide how they will feel before the world even tries to tell them how to feel. You can't calm the storm, but you can calm yourself. And when you calm yourself, the storm loses its power. Every person wants peace, but few understand that peace doesn't come from the world outside of you. It comes from the world within you. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not with people, problems, or pain, but with your own emotions. You can't lead others until you can lead yourself. And you can't control your future if you can't control your feelings. Most people spend their lives trying to manage what's happening around them. They think if they can fix the people, the job, the situation, the noise, then they'll have peace. But peace doesn't come from control. It comes from mastery. You can't always change the environment, but you can always change your energy. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. That's the real power, the ability to remain still on the inside even when everything on the outside is shaking. When you understand that life stops being about reaction and starts being about creation. Because everything you experience in life passes through the filter of your state of mind. The same situation that destroys one person can develop another, depending on what's going on inside them. That's why two people can face the same storm and walk away with completely different stories. One sees defeat, the other sees direction. One complains, the other grows. The difference isn't the event, it's the internal environment. You have to decide that nothing outside of you will be allowed to steal your calm. The traffic can't do it. The disrespect can't do it. The delay can't do it. You may not control the event, but you control the meaning you give it. When you give meaning that empowers you, peace becomes your natural state. Because peace is not the absence of chaos, it's the presence of clarity. It's knowing that your emotions are servants, not masters. It's refusing to give temporary people or temporary problems permanent access to your mind. Every time you lose your peace, you lose your power. Anger drains you faster than any work you'll ever do. Frustration blocks your focus. Worry clouds your wisdom. When you allow emotions to dominate, you trade leadership for reaction. But when you master your inner world, you make better decisions, you create better results, and you build stronger relationships. You stop fighting battles that don't matter and start winning the ones that do. This kind of mastery doesn't happen by accident. It happens by awareness. Every emotion has a doorway. When anger shows up, it's a signal, not an order. You can acknowledge it without obeying it. You can feel the emotion without feeding it. When you begin to separate your awareness from your emotion, you step into freedom because you're no longer the emotion. You're the observer of it. The moment you can say, I feel angry, instead of I am angry, you've already taken your power back. Peace requires discipline. It's not weakness, it's strength under control. It's easy to explode, but it takes mastery to stay centered. People will test your patience, situations will challenge your composure, and life will press you just to see what's inside. But if you keep your heart anchored, nothing can shake you for long. The secret is to feed peace daily. Spend time in reflection, speak words that calm your soul, and protect the energy you allow into your mind. What you think about consistently becomes your emotional atmosphere. If you meditate on chaos, you'll live in chaos. If you meditate on peace, you'll carry peace everywhere you go. Sometimes peace looks like walking away. Sometimes it looks like silence when others expect noise. It looks like smiling when you could have shouted, forgiving when you could have fought, letting go when you could have held a grudge. You don't do it because the other person deserves it. You do it because your peace is too valuable to lose. When you master your inner world, you live above offense. You stop reacting to every attack because you understand that people act from their own pain. Instead of taking it personally, you see it spiritually. When you become the master of your inner world, you don't wait for calm, you create it. You become a walking atmosphere of peace. You become a thermostat that sets the temperature, not a thermometer that adjusts to it. You walk into chaos and bring calm. You walk into conflict and bring clarity. You walk into fear and bring faith. That's what mastery looks like. Emotional authority that cannot be bought, taught, or taken away. It's built through practice, through reflection, through every moment you choose peace over pride, clarity over chaos, purpose over panic. And when you start living from that place, you realize the greatest power you'll ever have isn't in changing your circumstances. It's in mastering yourself. Every situation that tests you is not there to defeat you, but to reveal you. The way you respond to life shows who you truly are on the inside. Every day, you are given two options: to react out of emotion or to respond out of intention. Reaction is automatic. It's what happens when you let your feelings lead the way. Response is deliberate. It's what happens when your wisdom takes the driver's seat. The difference between the two can change your entire life. People who live by reaction are always victims of their environment, but people who live by response are masters of their destiny. When something happens that triggers you, the first thing to understand is that the trigger is not the real problem. The trigger only exposes the emotion that already existed within you. If anger rises, it's because it's already living in you. If frustration appears, it's because it's been hiding beneath the surface, waiting for a reason to emerge. So the key is not to eliminate the trigger, it's to eliminate the attachment that gives that trigger power. Once you do that, no person, no problem, no pressure can pull you out of your peace. Reaction is the language of ego. It says, I have to defend myself, I have to prove something, I have to win this argument. Response is the language of mastery. It says, I choose to stay grounded, I choose to understand, I choose to protect my peace. The world teaches you to be quick to react, but wisdom teaches you to pause. That pause is not weakness, it's power. It's the space where clarity is born. It's the moment between what happens and what you decide to do next. In that space, your future is shaped. When you react, you are being controlled by something outside of you. When you respond, you are operating from strength inside of you. Someone insults you and your reaction wants to match their energy, but your response, guided by discipline, refuses to step down to that level. Because every time you react, you join the chaos. Every time you respond, you rise above it. A mature person doesn't allow the behavior of others to dictate their own. They understand that peace and power go hand in hand. You can't hold both anger and authority at the same time. Most people think emotional control means suppressing how you feel, but that's not it. True control is not denial, it's direction. It's feeling the emotion but deciding where to send it. You don't have to deny anger to master it. You just have to direct it towards something productive. That's why self-leadership is so critical, because if you can't lead yourself through anger, you can't lead anyone else through conflict. The best leaders are calm under pressure because they've trained themselves not to react, but to respond with purpose. When emotions rise, the mind gets cloudy. That's why reaction feels so natural. It's the shortcut your brain takes when you're overwhelmed. But the shortcut always costs you peace. You say things you don't mean, you make decisions you later regret. And you lose influence in moments where composure was the real answer. Response takes discipline, but it rewards you with clarity. Every time you pause, breathe, and think before acting, you strengthen your emotional muscle. You're teaching your mind that not every thought deserves an action, and not every feeling deserves a reaction. Imagine being so grounded that people can't push your buttons because you've uninstalled them. That's what emotional mastery looks like. You stop letting people control you by refusing to react. They can be rude, but you stay kind. They can be loud, but you stay calm. They can try to offend you, but you choose understanding. That choice is not for them. It's for you. Because when you react, you give away power. When you respond, you keep it. No one deserves control over your mood. You can start mastering response by slowing down your moments of emotion. When frustration comes, ask yourself, what's the outcome I actually want? When anger appears, ask, if I react right now, will it get me closer to peace or further away from it? Questions like these interrupt the emotional loop that keeps you stuck. The goal is not to avoid emotion, but to lead it. The more awareness you bring to that process, the stronger your control becomes. Eventually, your automatic habit becomes calmness. People will wonder how you stay so centered, but what they won't see is the inner discipline behind that composure. There will always be people who test your patience, situations that provoke your anger, and moments that challenge your balance. But when you master response, you turn every challenge into training. You see conflict as an opportunity to grow your control. You stop letting life pull you by the strings of emotion. Instead, you move through it with purpose, poise, and precision. You speak only when words add value. You act only when action brings peace. You decide what energy you give and what energy you refuse to absorb. That's the difference between living on autopilot and living with authority. Pressure has a way of revealing who you are when no one is watching. It strips away your comfort, tests your patience, and exposes your beliefs. Most people run from pressure because they think it's punishment, but pressure is never there to destroy you. It's there to develop you. It's life's way of showing you that you've outgrown your current level. The same way the seed must be pressed into the dirt before it grows, you must be pressed before you produce. When you learn to see pressure as preparation, your entire experience changes. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Every challenge, every delay, every difficult person is an invitation to grow stronger. Pressure doesn't come to stop you, it comes to stretch you. It's the resistance that builds your emotional muscle. Without resistance, you stay weak. Without difficulty, you stay undeveloped. The more you can handle without losing your peace, the higher you are prepared to rise. Every great leader, every visionary, every builder of something meaningful has had to learn how to stay calm when the weight felt too heavy. They learned that stress isn't a signal to quit. It's a sign that something greater is being shaped within them. The difference between people who collapse under pressure and those who rise through it is perspective. Your perception creates your experience. If you see pressure as punishment, it feels painful. But if you see it as progress, It becomes purposeful. Two people can face the same challenge, but their outcomes will be completely different depending on what story they tell themselves about it. One person says, "This is breaking me." The other says, "This is building me." The circumstance is identical, but the mindset determines the result. When you change how you see it, you change how you feel about it, and that changes how you handle it. Pressure produces power when you embrace it with perspective. Diamonds don't form in comfort, they form in heat. Steel doesn't strengthen in ease, it's forged in fire. The things that feel like they're breaking you are often the things shaping your brilliance. You can't develop emotional mastery without emotional testing. You can't grow patience without delays. You can't grow faith without uncertainty. Everything you go through is training for where you're going to. Every moment of frustration is refining your focus. Every disappointment is deepening your discipline. Every setback is stretching your capacity. When you face pressure, the first thing you must manage is your mind. Your mind will try to magnify the problem and minimize your power. It will tell you the weight is too heavy, the time is too short, the people are too difficult. That's when you must take authority over your thoughts. Tell your mind what to focus on. The problem may be real, but so is your potential. You are not the problem. You are the person designed to overcome it. Pressure only feels unbearable when you forget who you are. The moment you remember your strength, the situation begins to shift. Perspective turns frustration into fuel. Instead of seeing pressure as an enemy, start seeing it as evidence that you are expanding. Growth never feels gentle. When your capacity increases, it stretches you. That stretching can feel uncomfortable, but it's always necessary. A muscle that's never stretched will never grow. The same applies to your character, your patience, your leadership, and your peace. Every difficult season is a gym for your spirit. Every obstacle is an opportunity to lift heavier emotional weight and become stronger on the inside. The key to staying calm under pressure is alignment. When you know why you're doing something, the weight stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like purpose. Purpose gives pain meaning. You stop resenting the struggle and start respecting it. You stop fighting the process and start flowing with it. Pressure can't break a person who's focused on their mission. It can only refine them. When your heart is anchored to something bigger than your comfort, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding intentionally. Pressure will test your patience, but it will also teach you timing. It will test your faith, but it will also strengthen it. It will test your discipline, but it will also define it. Everything great is born under pressure. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly without the struggle of the cocoon. The seed doesn't become a tree without the weight of the soil. You can't become who you're meant to be without the pressure that forces you to grow. Every obstacle is shaping the character required to sustain your next level. So instead of praying for less pressure, start preparing for greater capacity. The more you can hold without losing your peace, the more qualified you become for elevation. Pressure is not proof of weakness, it's proof of potential. The moment you start viewing challenges through that lens, life stops feeling like an attack and starts feeling like an assignment. You stop asking for things to get easier and start asking to get stronger. And as you grow, you realize that the pressure was never meant to crush you. It was meant to crown you. Peace is one of the most valuable possessions you will ever have, yet most people treat it like it's optional. They protect their money, their time, their reputation, but they leave their peace unguarded. Peace is not something you stumble upon. It's something you protect with intention. It's the foundation that holds everything else together. Without peace, even success feels heavy. Without peace, every blessing turns into burden. The goal is not to have a life without problems. It's to have a spirit that remains steady no matter what the problems are. Your peace is your power because peace gives you perspective. When your emotions are calm, your vision becomes clear. You make better choices. You speak with wisdom and you move with confidence. But when peace is gone, chaos takes over. You start reacting instead of thinking, speaking before listening, moving without direction. That's why protecting your peace is not selfish. It's strategic. You can't pour into anyone else if your own cup is constantly being drained. You have to make the decision that nothing outside of you deserves to control what's happening inside of you. Protecting your peace starts with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are fences that keep your energy safe. You have to be selective about what and who gets access to your attention. Some conversations are too costly, some arguments are too expensive, and some people are too draining to entertain. Not everyone deserves access to your atmosphere. When you understand your value, you stop giving discounts. The more peaceful you become, the less tolerance you have for anything that steals your calm. You protect your peace by mastering the art of letting go. Let go of grudges, let go of expectations, let go of the need to always be right. Holding on to offense is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. It doesn't hurt them, it hurts you. Forgiveness isn't about approving what happened, it's about freeing yourself from the emotional prison it created. The moment you release resentment, you reclaim your energy. Peace can't live in a heart full of bitterness. The weight of anger blocks the flow of joy, creativity, and wisdom. When you learn to release what you can't control, peace rushes back in like air filling empty lungs. Another way to protect your peace is through awareness. Most of the chaos people feel doesn't come from the world. It comes from their thoughts about the world. What you focus on expands. If you constantly think about problems, your mind becomes a magnet for negativity. If you focus on gratitude, your spirit attracts calm. Every day you are training your mind to see something. You can train it to look for stress, or you can train it to look for serenity. Peace begins with attention. Whatever you consistently meditate on becomes your emotional home. There will always be people who misunderstand your calm. They'll say you don't care or that you've changed, but peace often looks like maturity to those who are addicted to drama. You don't owe anyone access to your inner world just to prove you care. Sometimes protecting your peace means walking away quietly without explanation, without revenge. Silence can be a response. Distance can be a boundary. Not every battle requires your involvement. Some arguments are traps designed to steal your focus. The more peace you gain, the more selective you must become with your words, your time, and your energy. Peace also requires you to choose your environment wisely. Your surroundings shape your spirit. If you live in constant noise, your soul forgets what calm feels like. Sometimes peace is found in solitude, in moments of stillness where you can hear your own thoughts and reconnect with your purpose. The world moves fast, but wisdom is always still. Make time to disconnect from chaos so you can reconnect with clarity. Peace grows in the soil of silence. Your relationships have a major impact on your peace. The people around you are either adding to your calm or multiplying your chaos. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do have to know who you can trust with your energy. Surround yourself with people who speak life, who bring balance, who make you feel safe to grow. When your circle values peace, it becomes easier to stay grounded. When you walk with people who live in chaos, their storms become your storms. Choose wisely who you allow to sit at your table, because peace is a luxury that not everyone knows how to honor. Peace must also be practiced. It's not a one-time decision, it's a daily discipline. Every day you'll face situations that test your calm, an unexpected delay, a harsh word, a moment of pressure. Each one gives you a choice: react or remain centered. Every time you choose calm, your peace grows stronger. It becomes your default response instead of your rare reaction. And the more you practice peace, the more powerful you become, because peace is not weakness, it's control. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't have to prove anything to anyone, that your energy is sacred, and that your focus is worth protecting.